Welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast, adding games both new and old to your backlog, one slightly inappropriate episode at a time. My name is Bobby, and this week I got addicted to an MMO like it was 2007. Joining me today is Taylor.
And I've fallen prey to temptation.
And Logan.
And I am made mostly of meat.
All right, Logan joining us for the first time. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like, we should probably just take a moment and get to know you as a person. I know you've shared a lot with us in Discord here. I don't know what all you can share publicly, but you want to just talk a little bit about yourself, what you do, what games you like?
Sure, yeah. So I'm Logan. As you already know, I'm a community manager at Saber Interactive. I've been in the games industry for just over 4 years at this point, I believe. I started out at a smaller company called New World Interactive, working on a military FPS called Insurgency Sandstorm, which is actually still going strong. I think 7-year anniversary coming up. My time at Saber Interactive, I've worked on a bunch of different titles, everything from Insurgency Sandstorm there as well, to A Quiet Place, Turok, Hellraiser, a bunch of different games. And in terms of what I like myself, I am what would probably be considered a certified old head in games. And so I will sort of play anything that I think sounds good. But usually that ends up being first-person shooters, third-person shooters, a lot of action multiplayer type games, but I'm a fan of smaller indie stuff as well.
Nice.
So some of those grays in your beard came from the long years playing games?
Yeah, some of them from my my time in the games industry, some from my children, bless them. But yes, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, Saber Interactive, they've got a lot of interesting things coming out. I mean, the Hellraiser game, I'm super excited before. We talked about that a few weeks ago. There's a John Carpenter Toxic Commando or something game coming out. It's like a co-op FPS, new Jurassic Park game that I was looking at. And then I think you mentioned the Turok game as well. A lot happening over there.
Yeah, busy bees over at Saber Interactive.
Always something new on the horizon there.
That is very true.
All right. Well, this week we are going to be talking about Fellowship, Succubus, and Arc Raiders. But first, let's just see what's new. So, Taylor, what's new with you?
Well, this past week, I saw the Running Man movie, the newest version of it. And I honestly, it was a great action flick. Really enjoyed it. The lead actor did a great job. I like how it's different than the Arnold version. I've never read the book, but I assume it's a little closer to the book. But it got me thinking, man, this could make a great video game. Like the premise of the Running Man could make a fun video game where you have to dodge the hunters. If you got a good AI system going for the hunters, having to blend in with crowds like Assassin's Creed, but also having some gunplay in there. I don't know.
Well, there was a game called Smash TV, or maybe Super Smash TV on Super Nintendo. And I think I don't know, for some reason I always related that game to that movie. I don't know why. I think they even said in that game, I'd buy that for $1, which is actually a line from RoboCop, but I don't know. It's all kind of on the same. But yeah, if you've been listening to the show for a while, you maybe remember many years ago when we branched out and did a movie podcast for a minute. And one of the movies we talked about was The Running Man. And somebody suggested it and we watched it and it was not as good as we remembered, man. That old Arnold one, it's not.
I rewatched it. I rewatched it before going to see this new one, so I could have an idea of have it fresh in the mind. And it's just not that great. It didn't age very well.
Yeah, and right up front when the title comes up and it looks like something like that, somebody did an iMovie, and you're like, oh boy, we're in trouble.
Yeah, I think. That's my favorite era of movies, but I find that I'm incapable of looking at them without rose-colored glasses.
Mhm.
I work with a girl in her 20s, and we were talking about movies, and she recently watched Predator and was telling me how terrible that movie was and how she couldn't finish it. And I had to stay silent. I know it's maybe not the greatest, but I love that movie so much.
Man, I love that movie too, but I saw it on the big screen for some anniversary. They were playing it in movie theaters, and I saw it for the first time on like a movie screen, and I saw all the flaws. Like there's parts where like Arnold is like jutting out his arm as if he's shooting the gun, but the gun sound effect doesn't go off, and they don't do the muzzle flash. There's the part where Jesse Ventura is playing dead, and you can see him blinking, and I'm just like, oh man,
amazing!
It's watch it on your iPhone.
The gun handling from that era of like where they would just like jump into a stance and hold it at their hip and blast away.
Yeah,
that's gone. You'll never see that in a movie today.
Where they act like a turret. They stand there and do like a 45 back and forth.
Yeah.
I imagine seeing that movie in the theater with a crowd though was pretty awesome. Like to hear the crowd reactions kicking off for all the good lines and things.
Oh yeah, they were probably loving it. Oh man. Yeah, that's the problem. Like you can watch those movies now, but you can't go back and get that experience.
It's true.
All right, Logan, what's new with you this week?
Well, this isn't so much new with me as it is new with my interests, I think. But I discovered that a fan community is remaking Unreal Tournament 2004, and Epic has given them their blessing to do so. Which is cool to me because the original and actually all, I believe, of the Unreal games are missing from digital storefronts. You can't buy Unreal or Unreal Tournament or 2004. So that's exciting for me. And it sounds like what they're going to do is make it so that all of the original mods will still work with this updated version. And all of like any new mods made in the exact same way as the old mods will work on this. And so they're going to be looking to do a bunch of quality of life updates and make it work with all sort of modern OSs and things. And from what I was reading, the first public test is going to be in a couple of months. And so I'm pretty excited for that. I actually didn't have any idea about this community until I found out about this. So I guess they also did Unreal and Unreal Tournament previously. So I'm going to have to go and grab that, I think, because Unreal Tournament is still my all-time favorite game. Nothing to me will beat, I think it was called Face, the CTF map. There's like two towers floating on an asteroid in orbit. Yeah, low grav instagib on those maps is something I don't think that I'll ever match.
That rush you would get when you got a hit.
Yeah, totally. Cross map instagib, just watching the tiny chunks float in 0G.
Thank God there's people out there doing this work, bringing this stuff back. You just missed our reboot and remaster episode. That would have been good for that one.
Oh, hey, I'm going to have to go back and check that out.
That was last week.
Nice.
Yep. All right. This week, I wanted to talk about something movie related too. A new Silent Hill movie is coming out, Return to Silent Hill. So this is coming out in January, which kind of worries me a little bit because that's kind of like the dumping ground for movies. You know, if something's if they don't expect it to do big box office, they're just like, just release it in January. But this is kind of a big deal. So the original Silent Hill movie, I think, in my opinion, was the first good video game movie. It was the first time I ever saw a video game movie, and I was like, oh, these could be good. And like, I wasn't a huge Silent Hill fan to begin with, but I really enjoyed the movie. Then the second one came out like in the midst of the 3D craze, and it was awful. I mean, even for a video game movie, it was just bad. But this one, Return to Silent Hill, it's based on Silent Hill 2, and it's got the same director as the first movie, Christoph Gans. And they got the original composer, Akira Yamaoka. I'm probably mispronouncing that. And what's really weird is when you watch the trailer, like there's a title card that says, from the studio that brought you Terrifier 3. And I'm like, that's a weird thing to call out. Like I didn't see,
and it's not even like from the director of, it's the studio who brought you.
It's a
Yeah.
loose connection, and it's always strange when they do that. But still, it's like Silent Hill is a much more different kind of horror movie than those Terrifier movies. So
It's-
I don't know if that's got the
it's-
same fan base.
It's strange to me that would be like a get that
Yeah.
that they would, because usually when they do that, it's like, well, we're not sure if this is going to hit. We'll slap this bigger IP's name on it, so people associate it with that. But to me, it would be the other way around. I think Silent Hill is much, much bigger than Terrifier 3. Maybe not culturally right now, but in general, surely.
Yeah.
That first Silent Hill movie is, man, I was just thinking it doesn't feel like it's that old, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's from 2006.
Yeah.
So 19 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. And the special effects in it were like really good. Like for that time, they were very impressive. And like the camera work was just very creative. Like it was so much better than a movie like that had to be. And
yeah,
if I don't know, if you have free time, read Roger Ebert's review on it. I think that kind of sums it up pretty well. But all right. I think I forgot the bumper when we switched over there, but I didn't forget it this time. Let's talk about what we played this week. So, Taylor, why don't you start us off with what you played this week?
Yeah, so this week, well, it wasn't exactly this week. This week, I mostly continued playing Baldur's Gate 2 that I was talking about last week, but no one wants to hear about that 2 weeks in a row. So I'm going to talk about Succubus, which I played, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Succubus is a game that is like a spin-off from the game Agony, which we talked about a little bit when I talked about Lust from Beyond. And in this game, you play as a succubus demon in hell. You're out for revenge. And it's got you going through a bunch of different levels, fighting off other demons, as well as the lost souls that are stuck down in hell with you. This is an extremely graphic and disturbing game. Like, it's specifically out to shock you with its sexualization and the violence and the gore. There's everything in it from, graphic sex scenes to performing gross abortions on lost souls to recover your health. Which is, that, and it's funny because for such a graphic game, they have a couple of options in it that you can tone down some of the content. And one of them is specifically to get rid of that weird abortion feature.
I think when the game came out or was announced, and that was in the trailer, that I think a lot of people like spoke out against that, or like some people were upset by it or something like that. I remember there being a little bit of controversy about that specifically thing about stabbing the fetuses.
Yeah, it's gross. And this game is very clearly trying to get a reaction out of you, the player. And I'm sure they were pretty happy if that did make the news, because it got eyes on their game and it's what they're aiming for. I would say that it's graphic just for the sake of being graphic. Like, it's not in service of the story particularly. You could accomplish the story beats and the narrative of this game without being that graphic. It wouldn't change much.
Is there a lot of story in this game? So like I have some history with this game. I played Agony like all the way through, and then they announced Succubus and I played the demo of it or some like early beta release. And it was really just like, I want to say like almost wave survival, really focused on the combat. And it didn't seem like that was a good picture of what the game was going to be, because now it looks like there's a lot more story and there's like a campaign, and it's not so much emphasized. I mean, in Agony, there really wasn't any combat. It was one of those run and hide, light puzzle games, mostly just there for the atmosphere. But it seemed like they were focusing way more on the combat and the mechanics of this game.
This game definitely, combat is a main focus of it, but there is a narrative to follow. as you make your way through the various levels, you get to this world map kind of a feature where the levels are like seals that have been placed on it. And at first you have 3 available to you. And once you complete those, it opens up the next layer of hell and you can start completing those levels. And some of them don't really have much story tie to them. And others, there's like this weird shadow demon thing that pops up as like your advisor. And a lot of the narrative comes from him, a lot of the exposition. So you'll load into a level, and before the combat starts, this little like shadow guy will be talking to you and explaining why you're there and what your goal is. And the overarching goal is to get revenge on forget the name of the demon himself. Like, your character originally was the queen of hell, and you got knocked down out of that position by some other big demon after the events of Agony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that character, the succubus, Vidya or whatever her name is, I think she might have been in the first Agony game. It's been a long time. Okay.
Yeah. And then one of the skins you can get, or not skins, it's armor that you can get, is from one of the characters from Agony. So this is directly like a spin-off sequel type of a thing. But like you said, combat is definitely a major focus. There's no running and hiding. You are definitely out there to beat the shit out of anything you can. Like,
and I want to say that was a reaction to the people who played the first game. I think one of their big complaints was there's just not enough to do. And, which I guess is valid, but it seems like they might have swung really far in the other direction.
Yeah, there's not a lot going on in the levels outside of the combat. Like, there will be the occasional thing where you need to activate, solve a light puzzle. And sometimes the puzzles are also while there's infinitely respawning enemies appearing, which can be super frustrating. Like, I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do, and then there's just a never-ending swarm of Amazonian warriors like coming after me. And they did not nail the difficulty very well. Like, it's very up and down. Like, one level you'll play it and it's totally fine. Difficulty is good. It's not too hard, especially for like where you're at in terms of your weapon progression and armor progression. But then the next level will be incredibly difficult, like way too hard. And none of the puzzles are particularly well telegraphed. Like, a lot of them have to deal with the environment. So there'll be like some cherub that's been nailed to a cross, and you have to like pull that down as like a lever to activate this thing that an exploding egg pops out of this pool next to it, and then you have to take that exploding egg to go blow up this pile of corpses or something. And it doesn't ever tell you that that's what you're supposed to be doing. And when you walk up, say, to like that lever, there's no interaction button pop up. It doesn't pop up and say press F to interact. So you have to kind of figure it out on your own while still fighting. And there's a number of times where I just alt-tabbed out of the game to look at a guide online, because I was like, I have no clue what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm getting harried by enemies nonstop.
And so when you say when the difficulty spikes, like, is it the combat or the puzzles, or is it sort of in that combination where the sort of like mix of those two, or the meeting of those two things, is what's causing that friction?
It can be both, honestly. Like, sometimes it's just the combat is way harder. Like, there's a lot of arenas in this where, you'll be walking along a path and you'll drop down into an arena space, and you'll have waves of enemies to defeat. And until you defeat them, the way forward is closed. And some of those arena battles are just way tougher than the ones that came before. And then the one after it might not be that hard, you know? Like sometimes even within a level, there's these weird difficulty spikes, but particularly level 2 level. And you unlock new weapons. Like, so that's something I want to talk about is there are, that's a big part of the game is the weapons and your armor. So you also have spells in this game, but the spells are attached to the armor that you wear. So like one suit of armor will come with a spike shooting spell, a fireball spell, and a decoy spell. And a different suit of armor will come with, you know, the firebolt spell plus a explosive decoy instead of a regular decoy, and summon minions. But also the armors have to do with how much kind of like mana and health you have as well. So, but they set it up so you can re-roll the spells that are on an armor by paying the in-game currency, which is souls. So
Makes sense.
you can click on one of the spells that this armor gives you to re-roll it to be some other spell, but it's random, and you might end up spending a while and a ton of souls trying to get the spell that you want. So that way you can use an armor that has good health and mana on it and speed, which I don't think was a great system. I think they should have divorced spell casting from the armor and kept armor just to be about health and mana and your speed, and then had spells be some other system, like weapons are. As far as weapons go, you've got like 5 to 6 categories of them. So you'll have got like dual daggers, which you can throw. There's like a hammer, a spear, a bow and arrow, and some of them you unlock by playing the game. So unless you beat a certain level, you don't have access to this weapon yet. But one of them that you unlock kind of midway through the game is the quarterstaff, and it is just straight up better than all the other melee weapons. It attacks way faster, does great damage. It has a bit of an AoE to it. It's just straight up superior. And when I went online to check other people's opinions after I beat it, everyone else was also like, yeah, so I unlocked the quarterstaff, and all of a sudden the game got a lot easier. And then each section or category will have like 5 to 6 options within it that you can unlock, but they're all just direct upgrades from one another. So it's just straight up superior in terms of the damage it deals. There's no other interesting effects. So you didn't even need, like, they didn't even need to put that many options in, because the cost differences between them are not that big. You could save up after one level to purchase the top of the line version of that weapon and skip all the others. So there's just a number of decisions in this game that I'm like, if you guys had taken a step back and maybe thought about these systems a little bit more and polished them out, this would have been a better game. And I don't know if that comes from them, like with Agony being their previous game, not having combat in it at all, to this kind of much more combat focused game. Maybe they don't have the experience as a development team. But there is an enjoyable game here under the surface. But it would definitely benefit from like another pass.
How long did it take you to beat the game?
It took, I'd say, about 20 to 25 hours.
Wow. That's a long time.
Part of that was me needing to, like, getting stuck on those puzzles.
Yeah. A puzzle game, it's difficult to gauge the length, because, you know, you could get stuck on a puzzle for a really long time and somebody else could solve it like that. So, yeah, it's difficult to judge the length on a puzzle game.
And part of I'd say probably 3 or 4 of those hours also came from me playing with their customization system. So you can customize your character very in depth, as well as getting unlocks for further customization as you progress. And then your layer in that you go to, it's your hub in between each mission. That layer can be customized as well. And so I spent a good amount of time purchasing different decorations or like themes with my souls to like customize my layer and customize my Vidya character. So that's probably 3 or 4 hours went into that.
And are you talking like visual customization? Like, is it just changing?
It's purely visual.
And then what the layer, could you do anything in that? Or is that just sort of like you would finish a level, you'd retreat to that?
You finish a level, you go back to your layer, you might get a little exposition from the shadow demon, and you might not. Otherwise, you can walk around in it, and there's different stations. So like you go to the weapons station to change your weapon, you walk over to the armor station, etc. But there's nothing else to do there other than it being like your central hub to go out to further missions.
So I'm curious with what you said about the sort of the over the top, like in your face graphic nature of it. Like, did that add anything to it for you? Did you get were you like, oh, this is fun that it's pushing it this far? Or
at first, when I first started playing the game, especially the first several hours, as I was encountering new things, it accomplished its goal of shocking me. And I don't know if I think it added to the game to a degree. Like the combat system, like I said, is fun, but could have been more polished. And so with having this like shock value added to the experience to some degree of like walking up to some NPC and seeing what this new interaction was, like what's this new shocking thing they're going to show me. And that kind of kept me going for a bit. But after a while, I got kind of like inured to it where I just was playing the game now, like, and looking at things as mechanics, like rather than the shock value. Because after a certain point, midway through the game, you've kind of seen all of the interactions and sex scenes, etc., that you're going to see, except the cutscenes from progressing the story.
Right.
I noticed on the Steam page, they censored their videos. They blurred out the nudity on it, which I thought was an interesting choice because the game really is going for like people who are interested in like that graphic content. But also it's like, is that really a problem on Steam? Because I go to like the top new and trending and it's always like, oops, my bikini is missing or something. Yeah. Like something where I got to clear my browser history. And I'm just like, I don't understand why they blurred the nudity on this game in the trailer.
I mean, there's a chance that could be a marketing thing too, right? Like it's that it could add another layer to the tittillating thing of like, they do that. We used to do that with movies all the time, like, oh, we screened this movie and this many people passed out and, this person threw up and, so by blurring it, you're saying like, this is too extreme, like
too hot for TV.
Yeah.
Too hot for Steam.
Yeah. Steam doesn't want us to show, MasterCard will cancel us if we show this. So that's a possibility that it could have been calculated.
My thinking is that they just were like, what their marketing department just didn't want to make a separate version of the trailer that wasn't blurred.
Yeah, maybe you got to give like an age restriction, although that game has to have like an age.
Because they have to have it blurred on YouTube, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Steam wouldn't have it blurred, but I'm thinking they just didn't make a explicit version of the trailer.
I don't know if they would have had to blur it. They would have had to age gate it if they didn't blur it. And then age gating it means that embeds are broken, like it'll never, you don't see the thumbnail, you just see like the age gate thing.
Yeah, that's really going to hurt the view count.
Yeah, totally. It could have been trying to cast as wide a net as they could with what they had, maybe.
But Bobby's right. You definitely see games on new and trending on like 3 to 4 of that list of 10 are going to be like some anime game with the anime girl nude. or, whatever, like some porn game. So it is kind of interesting that this one is being a little more modest when the game itself is way more extreme than those other Steam games. But I don't know, like I enjoyed my time playing the game to a degree. It's not something that I'm going to go out and recommend to other people necessarily. One, because I don't want to be that creep who's like, hey, you guys play Succubus? But aside from that, just the game itself, like I said, could be better. But I will keep an eye on this studio and see what they put out next. Like, I think that they have the skill there and like the ideas there to make a better game. And so I think whatever their next game that comes out in this, if it's in this series or this universe of Agony and Succubus, or if it's something else, I want to see what that ends up turning out to be. Because I think they'll learn lessons from this game that will carry over, especially if they've already done the run and hide thing with Agony. They've done the combat focus with this. Then maybe their next game will be a blend of the two. I'm not sure, but that could be fun too.
I think there's something to be said for like supporting the outliers too, so that we don't end up just like with a homogenous kind of landscape. Like,
right.
One that I always bring up because Returnal is one of my kind of all-time favorite games is Housemarque, and just sort of where they came, there was Resogun, which was like one of the launch titles for PS4, and that was just like a weird little voxel spaceship sort of like throwback to like Defender or those old arcade titles. And to do like a 1-to-1 comparison of like Resogun to Returnal, there's no way that anyone would guess that was the same studio. And so yeah, I think there's something to be said for like looking at those games and going like, I think maybe there's something interesting there, and it'll be cool to see where these kind of weirdos on the fringe of gaming like take this. Like, what are they going to do? Yeah, I can respect that.
I like that. I like that we have this diversity, is particularly in PC gaming. This kind of game never going to show up on your PS5, right? Or Xbox. So I like to support that kind of fringe as and also in particular with the podcast. I showcase a lot of these types of games on the show, and it's not purely because I'm a weirdo. I am a weirdo, but part of it is that I like to shine a light on some of these stranger games that are out there that you might not hear of otherwise. Things that don't get the big marketing budget.
Yeah.
But
you can get Succubus for your kids for Christmas, everyone.
Yeah.
Nice little stocking stuffer for the holidays.
Speaking of big marketing budgets, though, Logan, what are you talking about this week?
So I'm talking about a game that I believe has been talked about several times on the podcast already, but I've been playing Arc Raiders somewhat obsessively. As someone who has, a full-time job, 2 kids, and a dog, I've somehow managed to squeak out, I think, probably in the realm of like 160, 170 hours on it. And something that has come up lately that I've been noticing is the sort of groundswell of people complaining about PvP in the game. And it only seems to be gaining sort of traction. Maybe it's a case of me being just in certain echo chambers on the socials. Who knows? But apparently, according to statistics, a bunch of players don't even engage with the PvP. As of November, according to the internet, only 43.3% of players on Steam had earned the Unyielding achievement, which is knocking out 10 raiders, which is pretty low for what I consider to be like a pretty big part of the game. And about 1/5 of players haven't killed anyone yet, which is kind of baffling to me because I thought you had to. It's been a while since I played those first sort of runs, but I thought you had to.
I don't think you have to kill another raider in order to keep progressing. But how many rounds would you say it would take the average person to knock out 10 other raiders? Is it like something you get done in your first 10 to 20 matches, or?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it really depends on the player, and I think it depends how you're playing, because I think if you're playing solos, they tend to be a lot friendlier. It's a lot more feasible of a tactic to just run around saying friendly, or hey, are you guys chill? And generally, once if you meet up with that first person, you guys are cool with each other, you're rolling around together, then the odds are 2v1, you come across another raider and you say, hey, are you friendly? That person's pretty likely to go, yeah, I don't really want to fight two people, so yeah, I'm friendly. And next thing you know, you have a big squad of you're rolling 10 deep, and then you decide to go take on the matriarch or whatever. But I've noticed that if you're in duos or in a squad of 3, it's definitely a lot spicier out there topside. So yeah, I think it'd be pretty easy to hit that 10. And so it being that low says a lot. So I mean, I can sort of understand where people are coming from. The people that say, I just want my kind of looter shooter. I want to go in and I want to face the arc, and I want to get my loot, and I want to get out, and I don't even want to interface with the PvP aspects of it. But to me, it brings up an interesting question of like, it's obviously in the game because it's something that the devs want in the game, especially where it came from, where it was a very different game and they made a lot of changes to it from when it was first shown to release. And I think that personally, I don't really do a lot of PvP, although I have lately, because I'm sort of at the end game. I've done all the quests, I've done all my workbenches, and I just finished putting all of my resources into the expedition to do like the that's their wipe, their version of a Tarkov wipe. And so there isn't a lot else for me to do right now other than to go in and try to get a bunch of loot, because I think they just announced yesterday or the day before what the rewards for it are, which is for every $1 million worth of value between your stash and your wallet, you get 1 permanent skill point. So each time you wipe, you get. So if I get it to 5 million, I get 5 skill points at the wipe. And then if I do the next wipe, I get those 5 skill points again, and I can get an additional 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so the only thing for me to do right now is to sort of stack loot to try to get those skill points out of it.
So that brings up an interesting question right off the bat for me.
Mm-hmm.
Having played Arc Raiders, not as much as you have, but I'm still in the questing phase.
Mm-hmm.
But if the rewards for the expedition are based on how much money your stash value is, doesn't that kind of discourage people from taking their best loot out?
Yeah, and so that's what people are saying right now on socials. I mean, so those skill points are just like an extra. There are other things that you get. You do get a costume. You do get like a cosmetic for Scrappy, and there's some other things that I can't remember off the top of my head. And so, I mean, that's one side of that. Is the argument is like it's optional. The wipe altogether, the expedition is optional. You could like put all your resources in so that you're ready and then still not do it, so that which I'm considering right now, because I'm not even at 1 million, and I'm looking at it going like I have like I think like 8 or 9 days or something to try to just grind this out. And do I really want to do that? Or I wait 2 months for the next one, and I have 2 months to get those 5 million. But it is an interesting question, yeah, because it incentivizes people to sort of hoard and not use all of that sweet gear, which leading up to the expedition is the opposite, right? Like you run out of stash space because you have gear fear, because you're like, well, I don't want to lose this awesome gun or whatever. Mm-hmm. and I had sort of just gotten over that and gotten to the point where I was like, screw it. I'm going to burn this purple weapon or gold attachment or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it is a strange choice. On the one hand, I do think that I'm sort of thinking of it as like, this is the beta wipe. This is them, because they don't really know for sure either, right? They're sort of like feeling out the community and seeing how people are responding to things. So maybe those rewards change on the next wipe.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, that's one of the advantages of a live service game is that they have the ability to make those adjustments for the next one.
It's true. Totally. And so that sort of goes back to my original thing with the PvP, and like I don't really interact with the PvP that much, but I appreciate that it's there, and I question if they were to remove it or if they were to make PvE only servers, wouldn't that take all of the tension out of it? You know, because to me, like I see people complaining like, oh, these guys, they ratted me, they camped the extraction, and you know, they put sticky mines like on the button for the elevator, and then they wiped us all. And they complain about that, but to me, that very situation is what makes it thrilling.
Right, it keeps you on
that's
your
why my heart
toes
is racing. Yeah.
There's a very similar situation with Sea of Thieves. Like for the longest time, people were like, we want a single player mode. Like the multiplayer or the PvP ruins it for us. And the developers were like, we hear you, but that's kind of like the point of the game. You know, you're pirates. You're supposed to like backstab each other and do pirate things. And they eventually gave us a PvE mode, and then they made the rewards of it so low that nobody wanted to play it. So, you know, nobody was ever happy with that. But I understand, like some people, they want it to be a cozy game. Like they want to just chill, and they don't want to have to worry about that. But
that is fully that's my opinion too, is like, where is that line of, I mean, we sort of, live service games have created this culture of, you know, where the community feels like entitled to their opinions being sort of like leveraged, you know, and that's not to say that that's bad, but I think that there's a certain aspect of like feeling like every opinion is valid, like any opinion that the community has should be enacted by the devs. And to me, it discounts it discounts developer vision and their agency. And especially when a game like Helldivers 2 exists, you know, there are other games that would fit what those people that don't like the PvP are looking for. And personally, I feel like they should be going to those other games. They shouldn't be looking to change a live game to meet their vision of what it should be. And you
also got to think, how long are these players that are complaining, how long are they going to be sticking with this game in the long term anyway? Like, because I would kind of classify Arc Raiders right now as it stands as like the flavor of the month, right? In PC gaming. It's the hot thing that everyone's talking about, everyone's playing, and we're gonna see a fall off of players over the next however many months, where the game will level out to what it's kind of going to be standard going forward. And a good chunk of these people aren't going to be playing this game anymore, or it'll be something they might fire up once a month with their friends, you know, versus playing fairly religiously.
A lot of times when they have an update, everybody comes back for a little bit. You know, it drives the player engagement. But
I mean, Sea of Thieves, we saw the exact same thing play out with that game, where it was super big for a while, and then it leveled out to its kind of core player base.
Yeah, I think it'll depend for sure. That like the longevity of sort of how big it is will depend on how quickly they can make good on new content. I think like because I don't, I wouldn't say I no lifed this game, but I'm for sure maining this game. Like, it's been the only game I've played since it launched. Well, that's not entirely true, but for a significant chunk of time, it's the only game that I'm playing. And and I've managed to get to where there's not really much for me to do until I can wipe, or until they add more content. And so I'll be curious to see, because I know that they had a good idea with those tests, I think, of like how big this game could be, the potential there. And so I think it'll depend on like how hard and fast they were able to grind content out. I'm sure they had a lot of stuff already lined up. And I think that them doing this December update already, like I think they're adding snow to all the maps when they do the map, or when they do the wipe. And so we'll see like what else they can add in there. I personally think I would like to see them randomize where materials and things show up, because I think that it's gonna, when they do the wipe, everyone, if they don't do that, everyone is just gonna rush to those areas.
They're gonna beeline those things. Yeah,
and there's a chance that it might I don't know, it might make it challenging, especially for the people that don't like PvP.
Well, I was gonna say, if they don't change it, those are gonna be PvP hotspots right from the get-go.
Right. And it'll create a situation where it'll force people that don't like the PvP to deal with it if they want to upgrade their workbenches, or get whatever they want to get, materials, rusted gears, or...
It'll be interesting to see what they do with this game. Like, this is what happened to Dune Awakening, in my opinion, where they ran out of content to give new players, or to give the existing players. And so the people who mained the game ran out of stuff to do, and kind of decided to move on. But that game, unfortunately, was so punishing, where if you don't log in once a month and pay your taxes, you lose all your stuff. Which is not the case in Arc Raiders, fortunately. And the grind is nowhere near, like, the amount of time people put into gathering crafting materials in Dune, then to just lose it all because you didn't log in 1 month is insane to me. But we'll have to see kind of how much they're willing to put out. And I caution the developers to listen too much to the people who kind of know life a game. Those tend to be the loudest voices on socials, but that's an impossible crowd to please. They're always if it was up to them, they would have new content every week, because they're they're maining the game so much that they will eat through content at a faster pace than you can ever develop it.
And that's a tricky thing. I mean, that trying to parse that feedback, and especially in live service games, because it's the same, like any live service game that has any amount of diehards, it's the same thing, like Insurgency, there are lots of people, like the fact that game is still going this many years out is wild. I know Christian is a big fan. He's played a lot of it in the past. And that was always a tricky thing, is like, how do you weight that feedback? And and I don't know that I have a good answer. Like I muddled my way through on that one, because there was a lot of really, really strong opinions on it.
I'm sure. And being at the front of that.
Yeah.
And there probably is no right answer. I mean, when it comes down to it, you're not going to please everybody. And
yep.
So I guess you just got to do the best
Right.
you can. But I don't know. I still think, like, sometimes people, they complain an awful lot too, but they're still playing,
Yeah.
and they're still coming back.
Yep.
I heard a quote from a dev once, and I'm going to mess it up. I don't remember where it came from or the exact words, but it was something along the lines of, players are really good at spotting problems in your game, but terrible for giving answers to those problems. Like listen to your community for when they do spot problems, but don't listen to them when they suggest fixes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I assume that's probably pretty good advice in general.
All right. Well, let's move it along to the game that I played this week. And I played this game the last 2 weeks. This game is called Fellowship. It's not a great name, but it's a great game. I brought this up on what I almost said on the radar. That was what we used to call it. But on maybe like a couple months ago, somebody in my Discord just randomly said, hey, you should check out this game. And I'm like, this looks incredible. It's World of Warcraft, but only mythic dungeon rating. And I'm like, dude, that's like, you mean I don't have to like level up a character like 80 levels or whatever it is now and like do all these side quests and all this other junk? Yeah, it just gets right to the heart of the matter. And if you look at this game, if you go on Fellowship's Steam page, you're like, wow, yeah, this looks like it looks like a slightly off version of World of Warcraft. Like it's super close.
The art style, yeah.
Yeah, everything about it. The UI, like the mounts, the art style, it's all just like very close, but just a little off. But after playing it, I can tell you they nailed it. Like they accomplished exactly what they were trying to do and exactly what I was hoping for. It is World of Warcraft, but you know, for the employed, like for people who don't want to spend all that time doing like all that stuff. And you know what? Like a lot of that stuff in World of Warcraft, they've streamlined, they've sped it up, they've removed it, but they still have a lot of this like vestigial.
Like that.
I was reaching for it. Should have checked the dictionary beforehand. You know what? Whatever. But yeah, they've got all this stuff like left over in that game that just doesn't need to be there, but it's there because like it's always been there. And this game is just like, nope, all the fun stuff all the time. And it's so good, man. It's just mythic dungeons nonstop. There's no levels. You just get gear and you level up that gear. So like at some point, WoW introduced eye levels, and Destiny did this as well. Destiny was like, why do we even need levels? That's like, doesn't even mean anything anymore. Like everybody just gets to the top level and then then the real game begins. So why don't we just start with the real game, you know? Right. So yeah, you just level up your gear. They did cut down the party size. So it's just 2 damage dealers, 1 tank, 1 healer. But I love role-based co-op, man. Role-based co-op, my absolute favorite. And WoW did it super well. This game does it super well. And then of course they streamlined all the abilities, the talent trees. You know, WoW, when you got to that top level, you'd have like 2 full hot bars and like 3 more, and you got them on the side of your windows and they're all over the place. And it's like 60 buttons going on here. And it's just like, I can't keep track of all this. This one's just like, they cut it way down. There's only like so many abilities. Everything's pretty straightforward, but it still has that like complexity that makes it. It's been
streamlined,
fun.
But it didn't take everything out.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is they kind of like took a page from like Overwatch and these ability shooters. I don't know if that's what you call these types of games, but like I think that was like what we just started calling them. But you know, like Overwatch, where all the characters, they vary a lot in play style and in what they do, but they all pretty much have like a movement ability. They all have like a super ability that they charge up over time, and so do the characters in Fellowship. You have like this super ability that you charge up over time. Everybody's got like a dash or a charge or something that gets you from A to B quick. And then everybody's got an interrupt. And interrupting, of course, big part of like raiding and WoW. So they kind of, you know, all the characters are like totally different, but they all have these similarities, which I thought was interesting.
There's a bit of a template to it. Like MOBAs do this too, generally, where everyone has a movement ability and an ultimate ability, etc., except like rare occasions. I want to know how many characters are there to play in this game?
Not much. So the game's still in early access. So there's 2 tanks, 2 healers, 4 damage dealers, around 4 damage dealers. There's not a whole lot to choose from. I've been playing mostly 1 damage dealer, and then I started playing around with a tank. And of course, those are 2 very different roles. But yeah, this game's so good that I had to stop playing it. Like I had to put it down, and I finally kind of like broke free of the spell. And then I've been scared to touch it again because I just don't want to start up the addiction. Like I got things to do. Like I was like, man, I'm coming home and I'm just like doing this like all night. Like I got things to do. I can't be spending all this time. Now they did streamline and cut out a bunch of stuff that I don't really care for in WoW anymore, but there are a few things that I still kind of miss. You know, the thing about WoW is you do feel like you're part of a world, like you're existing in this world. Like there's something about hopping on your mount and riding it across, you know, out Stormwind, through the forest, into Duskwood. Like there's something about existing in this world and like that anything could happen. I mean, after you play so much of the game, that sense of awe kind of wears off a little bit, but still, I think there's something to that. No pet battles. I got really into pet battles at the end of my WoW career, but I do kind of miss that. But I could go play like Temtem or something, I guess. I don't know. And no PvP, which I really enjoyed in WoW. And I enjoyed playing PvP. I thought it was the most boring thing to watch. Like I'd go to BlizzCon and they'd have like the 2v2s and the 3v3s. And I was just like, no, I can't even like pay attention to this. But I really enjoyed PvP, like not even just the arena, but like Arathi Highlands and like, you know, the Capture the Flag, Warsong Gulch, like all those things. Like that was a lot of fun. I would be surprised if they ever put that in this game. Like that would be a huge thing. And, you know, they're still in early access. They still got so many plans to add all this other stuff. Like I'm sure they've got their hands full, but they have just done an incredible job at like getting at the heart of what I think a lot of people want out of WoW these days. Like they nailed it. Like can't recommend this game enough. So if you used to play WoW.
Does it come with a monthly subscription?
It does not, man. I got this on sale for like $17. Like it was, I posted it in Discord because I was like, you guys got to check this out. Like if you like WoW, you've got to buy this game, because there's a lot of people like me where it's just like, you can't fit WoW into your life anymore. I don't know where the game's at these days. It's probably been 4 years since I last played it. It's been a while, but it's just like it doesn't fit
the
in
only
an adult
game.
life.
Like if you do play it, it's the only game that you play as an adult, and otherwise it's like good luck. And even then, it takes so much of your time. Yeah,
but the problem is nothing has ever been as good as WoW. I've played all these other MMO games. I've tried things that are, you know, after a while they stopped trying to make like straight up MMO killer competitors, like, and they're just like, well, this is like a weird twist version on it. It's kind of like an MMO, and they even stopped calling it that, and they would like change it so much that you could hardly recognize it as an MMO. But I played all of those, and none of them were as good as WoW, and that's therein lies the problem. It's just like, yeah, it's the best game out there, but it's like you can't play it because of the time sink. But this game's the real deal, man. Fellowship. Check it out. Logan, did you ever play WoW? Did you ever go through that in all your years of gaming?
I had friends that were deep in the clutches. I remember I lived in a house. It was a band house, and there were a bunch of guys in 2 different bands that lived there. And the one guy, he lived in the basement. And I remember I would go down there, and he would be at his desk with 3 monitors, and he'd have WoW on one. He'd have like just whatever random internet thing, like usually like WoW stuff. And then the other one, he was just watching The Simpsons, and he would just be chain smoking and playing WoW. And I would just go down to like hang out with him and watch him play. And I had no idea what was going on. I don't know. He had like modded the UI. You know, he had like all sort of like extra windows and things everywhere.
Damage trackers and all that stuff.
Yeah. It was like watching him play a spreadsheet a lot of the time. But he tried to get me into it. I remember I did they had like the 30-day
30-day free trial.
It was like before. Yeah, it was before they opened it up. Like now I think you can play up to level 20. Is that right?
It's some level like that. It depends on what the level cap is.
I think they change it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just didn't grab me. I don't think it's a failing of WoW. Obviously, there are millions upon millions of people that love that game.
Yeah. Well, it took me several times before I finally got hooked into it. Yeah. I played the game for the first time after that South Park episode came out.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I was just like, and I had purposely stayed away from that game because I had seen, people just like lose their lives to it. And I was just like, I don't want any part of that. And then after that episode, I was like, I got to check it out. And it didn't really take like the first 2 times. And then eventually it did.
I appreciate your dedication. You're like, I didn't, something about this heroine didn't quite hit the first 2 times, but I'm going to stick with this. How long did you play that for? Was that like a major?
Yeah, I mean, I played it in the heyday, like 2007-ish, and that's when I was really into it. And that's when it was like really grindy and really addictive. That was, I think, even before they started like trying to like gate people with like daily quests and things like that so they could slow people down. Dailies. And then everyone was just like, well, I'll just make another character and level that one up. Like they found ways.
Yeah, new tunes.
Yeah.
That's when I was playing too, was around that time period. And that was like definitely the golden age of WoW, I think. Maybe that's our age, but I truly believe it.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I miss playing Consecration Paladin with shield spikes.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely the era that I didn't, I had probably 2 or 3 friends that I didn't see for a few years.
Oh yeah, people would just disappear, man.
Were you into any MMOs, Logan?
No. I tried a bunch of them because I really liked I loved Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 3. And so I was like right on the cusp of both MOBAs and MMOs. And, I tried I think I tried EverQuest 2 and I tried Guild Wars and I tried WoW. And none of them really hit for me, and I don't know what it is because I enjoy sort of like the single player version of that, of like you doing quests and looting and leveling up my character. And I really like multiplayer games, like I like shooters. I like multiplayer and PvP and playing against other people. But for whatever reason, I'm not sure what it is about the kind of mix of those 2 things that just never was able to quite get its hooks in me.
That social aspect of it, where it's not PvP, but like, if you're not part of a guild that you're an active member of, I could see particularly like it never latching its hooks into you.
Yeah.
Because that social element is a big part for a lot of people too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably for the better. I mean, at the end of the day, you're probably not missing that much.
I will say I did go look at Fellowship, and I think that what you were saying about the art style is true. Like, I think that they really, because they nailed it in a way that doesn't immediately feel derivative. Like you can look at it and I can see the sort of what's the word that I'm looking for? Like the lineage. Like I can definitely see that it's related to that. But
I feel like the game is saying like, we know why you're here. Like we know what you're here for. We understand that you.
But it's not the shitty mobile game version of it. It's
right.
Or like WoW from Temu. It looks
totally
good.
Yeah, I actually like I said, I'm not a WoW fan. I probably will never touch this game. But I did take a screenshot and make it my desktop background because it looked really cool. And so that says something, I think. But
nice. All right. Well, let's move on to what we want to play. If I can find my bumper. Man, I hate when I have to do this.
Normally it's on the front of the car.
All right. Okay, so Taylor, what do you want to play?
So this game has been going around our Discord recently. Dispatch. If you've never heard of it, it is an episodic superhero workplace comedy choices matter game, which is a lot of words to describe it. But the basic idea of this game, you play as a dispatcher for superheroes, as well as you're rehabilitating ex-villains. And you have to use strategy for which heroes you dispatch to which calls. And then you have to balance your relationships and the office politics in conversational beats in the game that are similar to a visual novel in a way. or like the Telltale games where you have conversation choices that pop up and you have a timer to pick them. So that way it forces you to not sit there and really think it over. But I've been hearing about this game from, particularly in our community, Scram and Christian, a lot recently. And the way that they talked it up, it seems just right up my alley. Like animated, I love animation, animated shows, especially superhero stuff. So it's like this game is right up the middle for me. And something light and funny is going to be fun after playing Succubus.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about this game.
Yeah, the episodes are like the first season of episodes are all released, so you can get in there and play through the first season all together. And it's not that expensive, so I'm looking forward to trying it out. I hope it has good replayability as well. Like in these Choices Matters games, I always like to, after my first run, go back and make different choices to see how they'll play out. And some games do it better than others, where like some games are good at disguising the fact that they're railroading you. And then other games, like you can make a different choice and you'll see content that you had no clue was ever in the game in the first place. So hopefully it is the latter, but I'd be happy with it as long as doing another replay doesn't just totally wash the veneer off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know where I'm at with these like games that are kind of TV shows, but with some playability. Like we had a whole rash of them with all the Telltale games, and I was kind of like over them for a while, and I've never really gone back. But I have been hearing very good things about this one.
This one just sounds like it's just was done very well, like a super well executed one of those. And it's been long enough from that kind of heyday of Telltale games that, because I too was over them for a while, and just like, because they were just putting them out constantly. There was like 3 studios making them.
Yeah.
Walking Dead and all of these, The Wolf Among Us. And after a while it was like, okay, I'm done with these. But it's been a couple of years since that, and a fun one that is competently executed, I'm all here for.
All right. Very cool. All right, Logan, what do you got for us this week?
So I want to play a game called Dogpile. I recently saw the trailer for this, and it is a roguelike deck builder where you drop cute little cartoon dogs into a pit, and it merges identical ones to make bigger ones. And so the twist on it is sort of that it's a combination of deck building and physics-based merge puzzle. So you're building your deck, but there's no card combat. You're playing the dogs to drop them into the pit, and then they like roll around with physics. And so it's interesting to me because it's blending lighthearted kind of merge type games with strategic choice. So and I don't really know how deep this is going to go. I saw the trailer, I looked into it a little bit. There is a demo, but for the interest of being able to say what I hope for this game, I didn't play it before this podcast. But the fact that it mixes that strategy of being able to build your deck, and the dogs have different traits and things, and then sort of the skill being connected to something that you don't necessarily have control over. Sort of like like Peggle or Peglin or something, where there's a physics aspect. So it's like you can control where you're dropping the dog, but if that dog drops down and merges, they'll sort of pop, and then that'll drop, and it affects all of the other pile. So you can sort of try to strategize, like, oh, if I drop this merges, this part of it will fall over, and then these guys might merge. And so the idea for me of something that, like bridges the gap of like a Slay the Spire, with that like immediate satisfaction of merge games with the physics of like Peggle or Peglin, is really exciting, and my hopes are that it sort of blends those and pushes it in an interesting way that I haven't seen before. And that hopefully, my only sort of caveat there is like how deep it is, because on the surface it's very cute, it's very cartoony, and so that does feel fun and fresh, but I don't know if that is like, if it's going to be deep, if it's going to have the sort of like staying power that some of those other roguelike games do, or if it's going to be something that I throw on when I'm, whatever, winding down from all the terrible PvP that I've had to do in Arc Raiders. But
sounds like a good Steam Deck game. Sounds like something that it might fit that well.
Yes, totally. But so after this podcast, like immediately after we shut this off, I'm going to fire up that demo and see what that's all about.
It looks cute. It looks fun. The physics part of it, like you said, were saying, I love the way that they're popping about, like watching the trailer. But anyway, fun little game. What are you looking forward to, Bobby?
So this week I'm going to talk about Routine. This is a game. Oh man, I don't know if anyone remembers this game. So I was scrolling through like the recently released, new and trending, and I scroll past all of the erotic anime games, and then I see this game called Routine, and I'm like, is that the game that I remember? Routine? And I had like this flashback. I had completely forgot about this game. This game was announced at like Gamescom in like 2012, like forever ago. And I remember back then, I was much more easily impressed back then. I think we all were. Games weren't what they are today. I was like, wow, this game looks amazing. I can't wait till it comes out. And they're like, it's coming out next year. And I'm like, cool. And then it didn't come out until like last week. So here we are 13 years later. The game finally came out. Good for them though. I mean, they got it out. It is a first person survival horror game set in an abandoned lunar base. So again, this is going back to the day when we were all playing those like run and hide survival games, like very popular back then. I guess the plot is like you unravel this mystery of what happened to the base and you're fighting off like these hostile robots. So there's some combat, but what's really interesting is just the story of this game, because I'm telling you, I was just like, it was like a blast from the past that I had totally forgot about. This game is so old that it was on Steam Greenlight. Do you remember that?
Wow.
That whole mess?
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah, it was on Steam Greenlight, and they just ran into financial problems. They like production got delayed, and then like they just totally changed the direction at some point. So the usual stuff that comes with like developing a video game, although in this case it was pretty severe, I suppose. What's pretty interesting though is that Mick Gordon was working on the soundtrack, and I thought that's very strange because this game, if you look at it, it's got like that kind of lo-fi synthy, real chill, atmospheric vibe, and Mick Gordon, I think of like Doom and Wolfenstein, very aggressive, and there really isn't a whole lot of music. When I watched the trailer and I watched a little bit of the gameplay on YouTube, I'm like, there's not a whole lot of music in this game. So it seems strange that they would have like someone like
a
Mick
big
Gordon
name like that
dedicated to the soundtrack. But if you look at the reviews of this game, a lot of people are talking about how there's no hand holding. Like you are just set in this environment and you just have to wander around and figure everything out. I think it's like a pretty short game. I think it's just like a couple hours long, but it has that, it's very like atmospheric. And I know that's an overused word, but it goes about it in that Dead Space way where it's very cinematic. There's no like UI or health bar or menu that pops up like when you interact with the terminal. Like everything exists diegetically in the world. Like your health is shown by like, I don't know, the scratches or abrasions on your body, or like Dead Space did that to like I think Dead Space kind of set the standard with that, but this game does it as well. So yeah, I think this game, like Routine, is like, it's a little late for this genre of game. Nobody's really playing these anymore, but just like the fact that they got this over the finish line, I'm like, man, I kind of owe it to them to play this one now.
That's pretty awesome, actually, that they managed to get it out. And when you think about that time frame too, like 2012 to now means that surely they changed the engine along the way as well. Like, and the like all the textures probably were redone. Like at some point.
Yeah, they basically had to remake the game at some point. Like, they probably had
it's
to.
incredible.
Impressive that I mean, with that long of a dev cycle that it came out at all. Like,
yeah,
because, you know, for things to align to where it's not canceled, like it wasn't scrapped, it didn't turn into a different game.
Mm-hmm.
It's still that game.
I wonder how many years it was
13 years later.
It's just on some hard drives in a closet, you know, while the guy was working, you know, like working on another job.
And what do you do after that?
waited.
Like, once you release the game, are you just like, well, let's start working on the next one? You know, hopefully this one goes better. Or are you just like, you know what, let's call it quits, kind of go our separate ways. Like,
was this, do you know anything about like the size of the dev team or anything?
I don't. I can't imagine it was very big, but
I wonder. I'll be
this
awaiting
is their only game.
I'll be awaiting the no clip documentary on this one.
Yeah.
It's got a really cool aesthetic too. Like if you watch the Steam trailer, it looks like it's like you're playing it through a VHS player. Like there, that tint, I don't know what you call that tint that VHS tapes had. And
it's
CRT
like when the
TVs,
RGB is off, it's like, that's a very specific look. But yeah, I mean, it looks like a cool game. So I don't know. Congrats to them for finishing that.
It's actually on Game Pass, so I'm gonna check that out after the podcast as well.
Oh, right on.
Game Pass makes this an easy one to check out.
Yeah, there we go.
That's probably that might be how they got it over the finish line. It's getting Microsoft money.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, could be.
Struck a deal. All right. I thought that was going to play. There we go. All right, let's check in with our community. Taylor, you want to give them some shout outs?
Yeah, as we do every week, I want to shout out our executive producer, Truthbringer. Thank you, sir. He
thank you.
Pays that higher rate on Patreon to get the shout out every week. If you want your name shouted out every week, go ahead and join him in the executive producer tier.
Yep. And you can get to that at dlgaming.net. And also, we want to encourage you to leave us a review, Apple, Spotify, wherever reviews are being left these days. Helps us out a lot, gets us a little more visibility. Probably, aside from donating money, it's probably the best thing you can do to support us. So we appreciate it. All right. Well, I think that we don't have any listener questions, by the way. We answered them all. So I guess that's an episode. My name is Bobby, and joining me today was Logan and Taylor. Thanks for joining us. We got the Game Awards coming up. We'll see how many.
Should be right after you listen to this. The Game Awards should be happening. So
very soon. They always do it on a Thursday. It always starts very early. I always wonder about that, but I'm sure there's a reason. But it'll give us lots to talk about on the next episode. Hopefully there's a lot of PC gaming representation over there. Probably won't be, but yeah, but that'll be fun. Check out our Discord too. You can get to it by dlgaming.net. We may be trying to throw a little impromptu get together where we all watch it together like we did last year, because that's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, streaming it in the Discord. But while you guys are looking forward to the Game Awards show next week, listen to this song from Arc Raiders play us out.
Oh yeah, this is one of the good ones.
It's got kind of that lo-fi synthy vibe too.
Arc Raiders has a whole vibe.
Yes. The sound design is crazy.